I want to bring this up shortly and quickly. I posted this link on D2L for you guys, and I posted this image. This is a keyboard shortcut list for TinkerCAD. You guys can see that some things match, some things don't. Like Command C, Command V, Command D, delete. Those are kind of simplified ones. Things you guys might not know about but are important are these kind of rotations, uniform scale, or orbiting or panning the view and what that looks like. And these are important. What I have found that it's okay to work on the mouse trackpad, but as you guys get more advanced and go into more complex 3D modeling programs, you're going to find that a mouse is a lot easier to use, and especially a mouse with a scroll wheel that clicks, because that will kind of be like your secondary or third click. Okay. So this is kind of what your homepage overview looks like. Mine looks probably a little different because I have some objects in here from the past. The funny thing is if you guys don't name your file, TinkerCAD gives them these really bizarre names, like Tremendous Sango. No idea what that is, okay? Funky Cup, that's not, you know, it's just weird. Like Dazzling Jaban Dupe. No idea. TinkerCAD has a weird algorithm for that. Okay, so if we come up here to create new design and click on that, it's going to load the work page for us. So like I said, the benefit of using TinkerCAD is that you don't have to have an app download, you don't have to save your file onto an external or a flash drive. It saves it to this website and you can log in from any computer and work on it, right? So this is your work plane, the blue. This is kind of the default. What I like to do immediately is change it to inches so that I'm familiar with the dimensions. So down here under Edit Grid, you can see that the units are millimeters. I'm going to change it to inches. And then the width is right now 7.87. Just make it something even, like 12 by 12, and hit Update Grid. And then you'll notice that your grid gets bigger. And then the snap to grid, that's similar to Illustrator, like where things will snap. So if you want to make it lower so it has a higher percentage of snapping to objects, you can change that in this grid, or if you want to make it higher, it's up to you. I just did 30-second. Now a couple of quick things to zoom in and out on my trackpad. I'm just moving 2 fingers up and down on the trackpad. If I kind of pinch, that is actually just my website keyboard shortcut, not anything to do with TinkerCAD, right? So moving 2 fingers in and out, that will zoom in and that will zoom out. Andrew, do you mind closing the door for us? Thank you. Okay, so to kind of rotate around, 2-finger click. 2-finger click will kind of pan around on this work pane. That is awesome. Okay. So you can notice over here, there's some things. If I click on top, it'll go to my top view. And then if I click right, it'll go to my right view. So this kind of box will snap to different views. And then I can always just rotate around 2 fingers, right? 2-finger click, rotate. I can zoom in and out over here if I don't want to use the 2-finger on my trackpad. I can click this button. If I had things in it, it would zoom out so I could see everything. And then just makes it an orthographic view, which means it's kind of 45-45, but you guys don't have to worry about that. So over here on the right, this is essentially what we're working with. If I click this down arrow, you'll see that there's all these other options for us. We really want to stay within the basic shapes. We can go to text and numbers because it'll bring up some interesting things. Characters, these are things that are kind of pre-made. Like if I drag this ice cream cone in there, I already have an ice cream cone. I can go and 3D print that. Wow, how easy. All I had to do was drag something onto the work plane, okay? Some things that you guys probably won't use are circuits. So TinkerCAD does this like movable thing and circuits, which is interesting, but not for us. So it's like a light up bulb, etc. So if I'm just in basic shapes and I drag this box onto my work plane, okay, so I have a box. I could export this as a 3D printing model and it will 3D print this box. Super easy. You guys didn't even have to make any faces of it. Wow. Can't get any easier than that. So you'll notice that TinkerCAD, when you drag it onto the work plane, has these options for you. So right now it's a solid. TinkerCAD works in two different ways. It works with solids and it works with holes. So as a solid, I can come in here and I can change it to be any color I want to. How exciting, right? And then I can also change the size of it from here. So right now you'll see length, width, height. So I could come in here and I could type a specific number, like if I wanted it 5 by 2 by 7. Okay, I could type that in, and TinkerCAD will automatically adjust the square for me to be that size, right? Now there's another option to adjust sizes. So I'm just doing Command Z, just like every other program, to undo. You guys will notice that they have a bunch of different things highlighted on the box when it's clicked. So these white squares, those will be for scaling. So if I click and drag them, I can scale them from any corner. And you'll notice that it will give me some dimensions. All right. If I hold Shift while scaling, okay, same thing, it'll kind of lock in the proportions, same as Illustrator. If I hold Option while scaling, it will scale from the center, okay? It will not scale from the corner. It will scale from the center. That's while holding Option, all right? Some other cool things, this cone triangle, this is to move your object up into the air, this black one. So if I move it up, you guys will notice that it has a shadow, and now it's off my work plane, right? It's kind of hovering. So that's good for moving objects around. And then you'll see these arrows. If I click on that, that's for rotating my object, right? So I can get really nice rotations. If I hold Shift, it'll just do 45 and 90. And then if I hold one of them, will do increments. I have to remember what keyboard shortcut that is. Oh, that's right. If I keep my line, my arrow hovered inside of the rotation, it'll kind of lock at these specified increments. If I bring my arrow outside of the rotation, I can get special degrees. So I can get like 47 degrees rotated, right? So that's just with my arrow outside. With my arrow inside, it will lock, okay? And then that can go in any direction, right? So it has a bunch of rotating options. I'm gonna put another box in. And I'm gonna make this one a little smaller. And this time, oops, sorry, I'm gonna make it a hole. So when things are holes, they come up as this transparent striped object, right? So then I can kind of move my object to intersect with my square. So I have this hole inside of my original square. If I select both of them and I come up here to group, you'll notice that TinkerCAD has removed that shape from my box. So this is the basis of TinkerCAD and how it works. You work with solid objects and you work with objects that are holes. The objects that are holes will excavate anything inside of the solid object when they are grouped. Okay. Now if I select and I do ungroup, my whole object will come back in to play, right? So let's say that I want to kind of pan around the view, which means like I'm zooming in here, but I want to like come down here more. If I hold Shift and 2-click, if I hold Shift and 2-click and drag down, that's called panning, right? So I can come up, I can come down. Super interesting. So let's talk about alignments really quick. So I'm going to make a smaller box that's hovering next to it. Now let's say I want my box to kind of snap to the bottom here. Now you can see from this view it kind of looks like, oh wow, that's great, I got it, it's right at the corner, right? But when I rotate, it's super off. Like if I wanted this corner and this corner to line up, it would not be working. So you really have to play with the view that you're on. So maybe working from that top view would be better, so I can get a better alignment. Okay, and then I can come in and rotate it and move it down. Or I can select both of them and I can come up here to align or the keyboard shortcut is L. Okay, and it'll bring up all of these weird dots, but this is essentially alignment. And if I hover over them, it'll kind of show you what's going to happen. So if I click this middle button, both of my boxes are going to come together and be aligned kind of in the middle of each other, right? I selected both of them, and then I hit align or L on the keyboard to activate the dots. Right, so if I hover here, it looks like they're going to snap to the center, and then if I hover here, they're going to both snap down to the work plane, right? So that's how I can really get special and specific alignments within TinkerCAD. Okay, so they have a lot of awesome shapes here. They have spheres that you guys can drag from. They have pyramids. Really fun tools to work with. So take a moment, just play with the tools for a second, drag some in, work on aligning the tools with each other, work on aligning different shapes, and then work on excavating something from another object. All right, so I'll give you guys a little bit of time to work on that. I'll walk around and see if you have questions.